Shalom, shalom. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode of Olive Tree Concepts. Got it right this time. So here we are, episode 4 on perspective. Today, this episode isn't going to be too long or anything like that, But episode 4, we're going to be dealing about the topic of discipline. Specifically discipline and how it correlates directly to our health. So having a good, consistent, disciplined life will bring on good health, and not just the physical health, what I'm talking about, but the discipline that comes through all aspects of our body. Our body consists of the physical body, the soul, and the spirit. So we're going to be talking about these three things for reference, to this aspect of the body, soul, and the spirit. It talks about it specifically in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 23 and 24. So for those who want to read, on your own, that's the verse. Like I always mention, once this, at the bottom description of the video is going to have the verses that I use, in reference for this, and for you guys to go on your own to read, meditate, pray, and see how those things reflect and deal with you, So that's what we'll be tackling today. Perspective through the lens, of a life of discipline, and how discipline directly correlates to health, right? So our spiritual health, our physical health, and our emotional, mental health. So to kick off, I'm going to read a couple verses that have to deal with this aspect of discipline, So first is going to be in Proverbs chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. It says this: the evil deeds of a wicked man ensnare him. The cords of his sin hold him fast. He will die for lack of discipline, led astray by his own great folly, foolishness, or, ignorance per se. And the other one is over here in Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. Like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. This is very important, very important to understand. This not only affects the physical aspect of what it's talking about, but this heavily deals with how it affects our spiritual part and the mental afterwards. Something that we really need to understand is, because of the fact that our body is made in three parts, and how we can build our perspectives and how we, the outlook of everything on life, we have to really understand that we are body, soul, and spirit. And all these three things directly affect one another. So if you have a physical body that is well disciplined and trained, healthy muscles, healthy blood work, you're physically active, working, training some kind of martial art, working out, whatever the case may be that you're doing, your body may be physically disciplined and in good health, but you have no discipline in your spiritual aspect. You don't pray, you don't fast, you don't regularly read, meditate on the Bible, you don't go to church or any of that stuff. Even though your physical body may be good, your spiritual is lacking. Your soul and your spirit, they are lacking of that stuff. And usually, when you're living in kind of life like that, the outer part, which is the physical that we always see, might give the appearance that something is really nice and good and all. But if the inside is dying and rotting, because you're just feeding it with sin and with bad things, you tend to have an outlook on life which is very vain. You're looking at things through vanity, through pride, through selfishness, through lustful eyes, So you're just focusing on feeding yourself what you want, when you want it, how you want it, and all that stuff like that. to a certain extent, because even if you do have a healthy body, you're restricting yourself with certain things you're eating. You know, you have a good clean diet and all that kind of stuff, but you're living a life very much of vanity. Now, the flip side of that, you know, which is far more detrimental, I would say, is a person who lives a life who they have their physical body is completely out of shape. They are extremely overweight. They literally just eat junk food all the time, trash, all that stuff like that. You know, you still are having the same outlook of pride, but instead of this kind of pride outlook where you're thinking you're the best and you're, you know, on top of everything, and this very you know, cocky view, you're more looking at things on the flip side of pride, where you are still selfish because you're just lack discipline. You're giving yourself only what you want. You know, you're eating junk food, you have no clean diet, you're just doing whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. You know, it's exactly how Proverbs chapter 25 says, where city walls are broken down, and it's a man who lacks self-control. So the fact of not having self-control in your physical body, you are constantly subjecting yourself to more physical damage, to more probability of diseases, of heart problems, of organ failure. And this is very common knowledge, you know, scientific knowledge, where if you are, you know, especially obese, not just like a little, you know, have a little fat or anything like that. Like, some fat is good, it's healthy, you know, you can't just be like 3% body fat. That's bad too, you know. You can't be living in this extreme. You have to have a proper balance. So some fat in the body is good, you know, to feed the muscles, to give you energy and all that stuff. But if you are legitimately like heavily obese, like morbidly obese, it brings on immense amount of health problems, you know, and this is not godly. This is not holy. There's no way, especially for a person like me, for example, personal opinion, like growing up in church and being exposed to all these different kind of people, you know, who claim to be pastors and prophets and so on and so forth. I will never, you know, it might be rude, I won't say never, but I definitely have one foot back to people who are so-called preaching the word and living a so-called Christian life, but they are morbidly obese, you know, because they are pretty much showing me, like, how can I trust a man or woman of God, prophet, if they can't even take care of themselves? They don't even have self-control. They don't have discipline. And this is a big part of the fruits of the Holy Spirit. So a person who does not have self-control, does not have discipline, they are not patient people. They are quick to anger, quick to, like, you know, judge and things like that. It's not really a good reference. They might have a good understanding of the word. They might preach some good things and say some good things, you know, and I can filter it out and have that kind of discernment to know that the things that they may be saying are good things, but the fact of how they live their lives on a regular day-to-day basis will make it very difficult to like, let's say, follow them in like mentorship or discipleship or things of that nature. You know, there needs to be some kind of healthy balance. And the same way, if the physical is very bad, you know, it's going to throw off the spiritual aspect of your life. It messes with your mental health, you know. This is very common knowledge. You know, people want to war and debate on social media, but this is something that's been proven since, you know, forever. So there's no way to really argue and debate it. Now, there are cases, of course, where people have a legitimate chemical imbalance and they have their own issues far beyond just something as simple as, you know, physical weight. You know, I'm not denying that. That is very much a real thing, which is why it's important to consistently seek, you know, going to the doctors, getting yourself checked up, like your blood work, having a nutritionist, or, you know, therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever the case may be, because these things are important. You know, a good mind, a good heart, a good body, You have to have all these things running together, you know, in order, in balance, in alignment, you know. Now, the same way how I'm mentioning, talking a lot about the physical body, how it may affect the spiritual, the vice versa can also happen. You know, if you have a lack in the spiritual aspect, you know, your prayer life, fasting, and all that, these things will at some point affect your physical as well. You know, it might not be as quickly, you know, it might be something that stems over decades. Eventually, it'll affect you later in life. You know, each case is different, each individual, you know, you need discernment to understand these things and know, because it is very much case by case. You cannot be so judgmental and just looking at, you know, from what you see and just judging from what you know, your initial reaction, you know, because the eyes, our physical eyes can be very deceiving, you know. Not everything you see is as it is. So don't be quick to believe everything you see or let your heart believe everything right from the beginning. You need to take time and have patience to understand and get to know, you know, people one by one and build a legitimate relationship before you can ever come to actual conclusions, especially having a consistent life of prayer with these one-on-one relationships will help you drastically in revealing the inner parts of what you do not know and what you do not see, you know, because if you are constantly talking to the Holy Spirit and constantly talking to God, it will give you the perspective to see through your spiritual eyes, seeing through the way that God sees, not seeing through the way that you see. And with that perspective being changed and seeing that through a life that is disciplined in prayer, disciplined in that spiritual aspect, disciplined in reading the word, it comes quick to the mind. It's consistently renewing your mind day in and day out. So you will be able to have a quicker and better understanding of somebody and know that if they are lacking in something, you can pray for them. Maybe you might have the skills or tools or advice that can help them, you know, guide them, help them getting better in their own personal life, as well as vice versa. Those people may be presented to you where they are the ones who have something for you, something that you are lacking, something that you need, and they have the skills, the tools, the advice, the means to better your life, to help you out, to make something, you know, progress for you. So all in all, having this balanced, like, understanding, discipline for the physical and for the, you know, for the mind, the body, the soul, the spirit, having these things constantly being in check, constantly looking back on this, being disciplined enough to understand that every day I need to be 1% better in all of these areas. Every day I need to put some kind of effort towards this to consistently progress, you know. Consistency is key. I will always say that. I will always believe in that. Results never happen miraculously overnight. You need to put time in it. To build new habits alone takes at least 30 days of consistently doing them daily in order for them to become a new routine in your life, you know. For your life to be completely changed in that, you have to be consistently doing it, whether it's a physical thing, whether it's a mental thing, whether it's a spiritual thing, you know. You need to put it into practice. You can't just do it 1, 2, 3 days and be like, oh, I see no results, nothing's happened, I'm gonna give up, you know. That's a complete lack of discipline. You're literally setting yourself up for destruction. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to fall back into sin. You know, things are not supposed to be easy, but whatever is worth it, you need to put effort into it, you know. And it's far more gratifying too. Things that just come to you easy or for free, at no cost, you tend to overlook it, you know. You don't necessarily ever really like appreciate it, you know. You legitimately will take it for granted. But when you put the effort in, when you put the discipline in, when you put the consistency in every single day for your physical body, for your mental health, your emotional health, for your for your spiritual health, my bad. When you consistently do these things on a regular basis, and you build, you know, healthy habits doing this, at some point you start to recognize your own change. Many times what ends up happening, the people who are closest to you will start to, you know, react to it. We'll start to recognize the changes that you're doing, and they'll be the ones to comment on it first, and it'll give you this aha moment to be like, oh snap, so what I'm doing is working. It's starting to affect people in a positive way. They're seeing it, they're positively reinforcing me and letting me know, like, oh, I see you're looking better, oh, your face is slimming up, oh, your body is looking stronger, oh, in the spiritual aspect, like people who are involved in prayers, like, wow, your prayer life is getting better, I can see that God is using you in this or in that, and so on and so forth. Like, once you're putting in that consistency, people will recognize that, and then it'll have you reflect on yourself, because a lot of times we can be very negative on ourselves and detrimental, and it takes longer sometimes for us to recognize than somebody else to recognize through their point of view. Also vice versa, that happens when you're doing bad things. A lot of times you can be doing a lot of bad, doing a lot of bad habits, saying the wrong things, acting the wrong ways, and the people closest to you will be the first ones to be like, hey, what you're saying is wrong, how you're acting is wrong, you're getting out of shape, you're whatever the case may be. So even that, have some wisdom and grace in that, to heed the advice of others, pay attention to that, because if somebody that you love is giving you healthy and like proper constructive criticism, take the advice, and recognize, oh, maybe I do need to work on this. Maybe I do need to work on my fasting. Maybe I do need to work on my prayer life. Maybe I do need to work on how I'm reading and interpreting the word, the things that I'm watching, the things that I'm, saying or paying attention to. All of these things have an effect, in us. So alignment and these things are incredibly important, and an active discipline as well goes hand in hand with obedience and faith. God does not like lazy people. He does not like people who, waste away and do absolutely nothing and contribute nothing. People who do not serve, living a hypocrite life. Say one thing, do the other. God does not like that, and we as people don't like that. We don't like that with others. We hate when somebody is consistently taking advantage of us. We don't like when people are, lazy. They don't help. They don't serve. But yet they have this sense of, like, what's the word? Like entitlement. They have this sense of entitlement where they feel everything is owed to them. They're just obligated to it, even though they don't do anything to help. They don't cook. They don't clean. They don't. They don't work out. They don't give you anything, good or constructive. They don't serve in their church. They don't serve in their community. They don't serve their own family members. They don't take care of their wife or husband or children. Like, they just put people down, just always saying bad things. Like, we as people don't like to be around human beings who are like that. So if we don't like it, imagine, God, how much patience, how much grace he gives us, because people are constantly doing that to each other, constantly doing that to him. So yeah, I hope this was helpful, insightful. Pay attention to these things, learning to be aligned, having this submission to God and things that he wants of us and for us. And this is a great way for us to understand, the importance. I wrote down over here, when you live a proper balanced discipline in the body and the soul and the spirit, it brings discernment and clarity to function properly in day-to-day life, and it holds yourself to a standard of health, longevity, righteousness, trustworthiness, respect, wisdom, and holiness. So let's pay attention to the way that we live our lives, to our habits. If we want to make a legitimate change in our lives for the better, we have to live a life that is in discipline, that is consistency that is constantly looking, for the approach of a better. We don't want to be working backwards. We want to be moving forward. We want to be consistently putting in that 1% better mentality, that positive mental attitude, consistently moving forward, consistently praying for the best, consistently serving, consistently submitting to God's will, consistently having this self-control, this patience, and being deliberate and intentional with the way we move, with the things we say, with the way that we act to one another. Not only do we want to reinforce and create a good attitude for ourselves, but we want to help others around us and build a type of structure where we are empowering our neighbors, empowering our local communities, empowering our local governments and the greater government around us, and changing the atmosphere of our nature one day at a time, So we have to start somewhere. So start with yourself, start with the home inside of your heart, the home inside of your mind, build that daily discipline, and hopefully you will, get the results that you desire. But even more than what you desire, you are building a life that is consistently revealing the things I said before: righteousness, holiness, longevity, respect, honor. These are important attributes. These are attributes that you can carry for the rest of your life. And these are things that you can pass down generationally. You can give them to, the wife, the husband, feed them off one another. You can pass this down to your kids, your grandkids, and leave a good foundation, a good example for those around you. Love you guys. Hopefully this was, insightful and helpful. I'm probably gonna do maybe another 3 more videos or 2 more, I'm not sure yet, on perspective, and go on to the next theme. So already a month in, which is awesome. I'm excited, grateful for those who are watching, for who are helping me out, who are giving me good, saying good things, giving me good insight, but as well, even the opposition. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for my enemies. I pray for my enemies. I pray for those who want my downfall. I pray for those who want my destruction. I pray for those who want, to put me down and, bring all that negativity, because it shows me that I'm doing something right. So it's good to even, pray for your enemies. I don't want no harm to anybody. If you don't like me, or if you don't want me to be doing something, that's on you. But I'm going to continue to obey God and do what God wants me to do. So love you guys. Have a great week. And let's see what happens for next week, episode 5. See you, everybody.